Some are comparing President Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure plan to Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. That's the series of programs that hoisted the U.S. out of the Great Depression. President Biden's package brings the largest U.S. investment in roads, bridges, and power lines in more than a generation. The White House says it will boost the economy and create jobs. Joining us now to talk more about the plan and its New Deal parallels is Adie Tomer. He is a senior fellow at Brookings Metro. The country is facing difficult economic times. Supply chain issues are causing consumer prices to rise. There's a worker shortage, but it's just not the same level of economic turmoil FDR inherited when he took office in the 1930s. Explain why people are making this comparison.
Yeah, thanks for having me this morning. And we're making the comparison because the facts are telling us that's exactly how historic this legislation is. When we compare the spending back in the early parts of the 20th century as a share of GDP for the country and compare it to what the new Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or EJA, is going to deliver for the country, they're nearly the same. And then as really underway right now, the votes on Build Back Better, if it also passes the Senate and gets to the president's desk, the total infrastructure spending as a share of GDP will exceed the average that we saw during the New Deal. And of course, we're left with the legacies of the New Deal, from the Hoover Dam to the Riverwalk in San Antonio. So in some ways, I think that should resonate for viewers and folks in America. This really is a historic piece of legislation.
Yeah, not only was the New Deal a game changer and historic, but as you point out, the things that, this country liked, we kept. So why is there a negative connotation for some Republicans when it comes to that comparison?
I think we're seeing right now in Washington versus local politics, the difference in our general civics as a country. In Washington and of course in national discourses, it plays to conflict between the two major political parties. But what we are already starting to see, including from a representative from Alabama, is when they go back home, they're going to like these infrastructure projects. If you can introduce me to the politician who doesn't like a ribbon cutting, that'll be the first one I've ever met. So I expect these projects to be extremely popular all across the country. We expect them to move as quickly as possible. I think you brought up some really good complications that could be out there on executing these projects, maybe slower than we saw, certainly during the New Deal, or early, even in comparison to 2010 with the stimulus at that time, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. But still, politicians love infrastructure projects. These are not inherently political acts. A train doesn't vote, right? Saving people from flooding doesn't vote. It's just good policy action in play to make people's lives better.
So this legislation promised to repair the damage caused by racial disparities in how the U.S. government historically builds, repairs, and locates physical infrastructure, but decisions on how and where to spend the money coming from this deal will largely fall on states and localities. So could that be an obstacle to reaching this racial equity goal?
It's a great point. What we're going to see is huge differences across the country on how governors, mayors, county officials actually approach the specific outcomes that they want to achieve with these enormous dollar amounts. For projects that are selected by, let's say, Secretary Buttigieg at the Department of Transportation or Secretary Granholm at the Department of Energy, they're likely to follow what the Biden administration has formally called the Justice 40 initiative, or effectively to make sure that at least 40% of projects are invested in communities of need. But for governors and mayors and those county officials that have control over their own dollars, it really depends what their vision is. So what I think people should expect to see is that if you live in coastal, extremely quote unquote blue states, that there is going to be a similar kind of investment focused on racial justice, focused on climate resilience. The parts that are, I think, uncertain are what's going to happen in the heartland of the country. Places that are either red states, or there's a difference between maybe a blue city mayor and a red state. How are they approaching these investments? What do they define as a future kind of prosperity? We saw from last summer in particular, between floods, drought, and wildfires, not just wildfires that took place in the West, but all of us consume that smoke all across the country. How has that message of the importance of climate resilience and environmental justice resonated? We're going to learn a lot more about where the country stands in a few years when we see what projects they execute.
So this infrastructure deal is not without its critics, and I'm not talking about on the Republican side. I'm talking about even Democrats who say, hey, it might be a big deal, but it's not a big enough deal. It doesn't go far enough. It's been pared back too much. What are some of the areas where you think the legislation could have actually done more?
Yeah, it's a great way to bring it up. Climate is the number one. Make no mistakes about it. EJA, again, which is not a great sounding acronym, but this new infrastructure bill, it is the largest climate bill in U.S. history. And it speaks to just how big the climate challenge is, that it's simply not big enough. We expect, if Build Back Better, based on the current contours that seem to be in agreement between the House and Senate, actually get to the president's desk, it will increase climate spending roughly 5-fold over what you see in the infrastructure bill. So that's definitely one area where it's shortchanged. Personally, I'm also a little disappointed that the Senate-based infrastructure bill that has now become law has done too little to curtail our highway investments in this country, not to make sure that we have smooth pavement. That's what everyone wants. But the continued investment in wider highways, when transportation is our number one source of climate emissions, feels like it's putting our head in the sands relative to where the country needs to go. So those are two key areas where they fall short. Now, what's really important to note is that in something like broadband, which is a historic investment, something that all of us notice, even how we're doing this interview today, right? It's so important for our country's history and to advance. The bill still doesn't do yet enough to connect every household to a high-speed connection. But we don't think this will be the last salvo. And 5 years from now, when this bill is done, hopefully Congress will continue to invest to overcome and bridge the digital divide.
Adie Tomer, thank you so much.
Thank you.